Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and today's video is not going to be discussing why Randy Pitchford enjoys tweeting out videos of cats getting attacked by crabs. That's not the purpose of today's video. Today we're going to be discussing E3 and hype culture and talk about some of the problems that we're going to be seeing coming in the next couple of weeks. Because of course we know this time next week we're going to be knee-deep in fake trailers and lies on stage because E3 is going to be in full swing. At the end of next week, we're going to have all the pre-E3 press conferences, and then we're going to have the trade show itself, and there's already been a lot of information coming out in the last week. A lot of leaks. Some of them have proven to be false. We did have a couple of big announcements with Death Stranding, and everyone's all excited about the new Call of Duty because every single year, people forget how disappointed they were with the Call of Duty the year before, and they get themselves all hyped up based on one trailer because that's what happens every single year. And something else that happens every single year, this is the main purpose of today's video, something else that happens every single year is that we are lied to and misled constantly, both on stage and in various press conferences and interviews that we get after E3. It doesn't matter what company we're talking about, it doesn't matter if it's a major platform holder like Sony or Microsoft, or if it's one of the major publishers like EA or Activision or Ubisoft, or everyone's favorite Bethesda. It doesn't seem to matter who it is up on stage. Guaranteed we are going to be lied to and misled at some point during these press conferences because that is what happens every single year, and it even happens with the most popular and most beloved of developers. I'm talking about even CD Projekt Red. Coach, what are you talking about? You can't say anything about CD Projekt Red. Well, we know last year the stuff we saw, the footage we saw from E3 2018, the stuff that everyone was all hyped up about, the journalists were talking about how amazing it was behind closed doors, and then CD Projekt Red bestowed their blessing upon us and allowed us to see the footage that they showed the journalists. And then now it turns out, as we've mentioned here before on the channel, is that CD Projekt Red has now come out and said that the footage we saw last year is not really representative of what the game looks like in its current form, so we should just pretty much disregard that. So any images that we may have dreamed up in our heads based on the footage we saw last year of Cyberpunk 2077, we basically know now that none of that is actually going to be what we're going to see in the games. Who knows what we're actually going to see in the footage that they're going to show at E3 next week, but rest assured everyone's going to be all hyped up again about it. But just remember that there is no company that is above showing us something one year and then removing that or pulling the rug out from us the year after. It does not matter who it is, we have to be aware of it at all times. And let's not forget all the myriad games that just get canceled outright, or games that get delayed for years and years on end. I'll never forget The Last Guardian that Sony announced so long ago that it skipped an entire generation. It skipped the entire PS3 generation and came out on the PS4. And they just baited people along for years saying, it's coming, it's coming. We're seeing it now again with Final Fantasy VII. They've been baiting everyone along for years with that game. And now maybe we'll get a release date at E3. Who knows? Who knows? At this point, I'll believe it when I see it because that's all we can do with these games these days. And let's not forget either the issue, the giant debacle, the train wreck, the dumpster fire that is Anthem right now, where they continue to make misstep after misstep, and BioWare has made themselves look so much worse than anyone ever thought they could have. Even people like myself who didn't think that Anthem was going to be good, I didn't expect BioWare to look this bad in the process, and they certainly do look terrible in the process. And people are complaining about that game all over the place. People are complaining about everything to do with Anthem, and of course we know that everything we saw at E3 over the last couple of years was a complete and outright and utter fabricated lie. Everything we were shown, everything we were told about Anthem, basically the only thing we saw that was actually accurate is that you're flying around in a spacesuit. That's about it. Everything else was predicated on a complete and utter lie. And they sold millions of copies still, even though they didn't hit their projected targets. They got people all excited. They had people on YouTube all hyping the game up. They had legions of defenders going into every comment section of anyone who might be negative about the game and just defending the game outright based on complete and utter lies from E3 mainly. And of course, the following interviews that we get from all these companies after E3, where they go out and they continue to spin their little tails, make promises that they never keep, tell us everything we want to hear. I'm talking about Bethesda and Pete Hines and Todd Howard spinning all their webs with Fallout 76, and of course Pete just being proven wrong again and again in the entire lead up to the game, and people still were defending the game, saying that Fallout 76 was going to be great. Didn't matter that Pete was lying for 6 straight months before the game actually came out, and now has gone into complete hiding. And we know just, of course, a few months ago, Todd went up on stage and continued to further propagate the lies from Bethesda, talking about how they have a healthy community of millions of players, which, of course, everyone who's been following the story knows that is also still a lie. So we'll see what Bethesda comes up with this year, but rest assured, I won't be buying anything that they come up with that comes out of their mouth on stage, because they've been proven to be outright liars time and time and time again. And of course, we have Microsoft now and Phil Spencer all hyping up their next E3 for Xbox and talking about how they're going to have 14 first-party studio games, and everyone's so excited. But really, if you sit down and actually figure what they might be showing, it's mostly going to be stuff that we already know about. But of course, they're hyping it up. They want everyone to put their eyes on the Microsoft press conference, and when Sony out of the picture, of course, Xbox is going to have a much more prominent featured role with Sony out of the way. So people are going to have their eyes glued to see what Xbox has next, and Phil is hyping it up like he always does every year, and we'll see if they actually deliver everything this year. But I think what we're going to see is just a bunch of announcements of stuff that we already know about, and we'll see how well they stick to their plan. Hopefully they don't cancel any more games. It's been a little while since they did any outright cancellations, because they know they can't do that anymore because of the various lies that they told over the past generation at E3. Because once again, it doesn't matter which company we're talking about, which publisher we're talking about. If they're up on stage at E3 trying to spin us some marketing tales, well, rest assured they're going to be stretching the truth as much as humanly possible, because they just want you to pre-order. They just want you to buy into the hype. They want you in the forums, in the comment sections, defending their product, doing their job for them. They want you to be the guerrilla marketing that they don't want to pay for. They just want to flash a couple trailers up, do a couple of interviews full of nonsense, false truths, half-truths, outright lies from the developers, and then they will get you to defend anything they say. And that is how this has been going for years. And now, after last year, with the lid blown off and we saw outright exposed games like Anthem and games like Fallout 76, which we now know were built on complete and utter houses of lies. Now we know. There is no doubt anymore. We've known for years about the sketchy backdoor dealings and the visual downgrades from the king of downgrades, Ubisoft. We know all this stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, but last year more than ever, and in the past year with these game releases, we've seen more than ever that these studios just will lie and say whatever they want to try to sell us on their game. And that is all I'm cautioning you against here today. I know that I talk about this quite a bit on the channel, but here it is very pertinent, because we are here right before E3. Like I said, this time next week we will be sitting knee-deep in rumors and speculation and trailers and false hype. And you might say, Coach, why are you so cynical about this? Well, if you're not cynical, if you're not skeptical about what's going on stage at E3, if you are not aware, or if you're fully aware and you just will embrace the hype culture, my warning to you is just this. Just don't let yourself get carried away. Don't go into forums defending everything about a game based on stuff you saw at E3, because just know that a lot of it is going to be an outright fabrication. That's all I'm here to say. I know people think that I'm a negative Nancy, and that's totally fine if that's your viewpoint. If you think I'm just being a cynical jerk, that's totally acceptable. I'm just trying to warn people against themselves getting overhyped, getting overconfident about a game that might not live up to your expectations, and above all, just realizing that everything we're going to see on stage and in the following months is pure and utter marketing, and that is it. It's designed to separate you from your money. It's not there for your benefit. Of course, you can get excited. You can watch watch the trailers, get all excited, that's totally fine. If there's a game that catches your interest and you want to follow the development of it, that's totally legitimate. I'm not going to stand in your way. Just don't get overly hyped. Don't buy in fully to what they're trying to sell you until the product is actually out. You got some reviews, you got it in your hands, you played it yourself, and then you can talk about how great the game is. Alright? Is that a deal? Anyway, that's it for me, Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe. If you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward, and as always, keep it turned to 11.